Oh, there's a pretty one, Ulysses. There it is.
Hey, BookTube, I'm Sean the Book Maniac. Welcome back to my channel. Here I am with yet another year's iteration of the Finally Fall book tag. This is my third year running for this tag that was originally created by Tall Tales. I was originally tagged years ago by just one reader, and I have done it every year since I came to BookTube, and I think you should too. So without further ado, let's get started. Number 1. In fall, the air is crisp and clear. Name a book with a vivid setting. Well, that one's pretty easy because I just finished my second or maybe third reread of Wuthering Heights. And boy, does it have a vivid setting. Set on the moors in Yorkshire, the setting is very richly depicted. The two houses, Thrushcross Grange and of course Wuthering Heights, and you live and breathe that setting. So there you go. Number 2, nature is beautiful, but also dying. Name a book that is beautifully written, but also deals with a heavy topic like grief or death. Thought quite a bit about this one, and I have chosen a novella that I read last autumn, so I hadn't mentioned it in any previous iterations of this tag, which fits the bill completely. That is The Spare Room by Helen Garner. I did this as a buddy read with Natalie of my reading days, and we both fell far deeper into this novel than its short page count should possibly have allowed. It's about a middle-aged or young senior, maybe she's about 60-year-old woman in Australia whose old friend has terminal cancer and has asked to come and live with her while she receives some alternative cancer treatments. And the alternative cancer treatments, we, the readers, soon find out, are absolute quackery. And how can you be a good friend to somebody who is willing to grasp on to false hope and give all their money to a charlatan? It's an incredibly beautiful story, told with lots of humor, and makes you really think about this stuff in a way that you don't even really realize that you're thinking and feeling so deeply. It's a stunning novella. Fall is back to school season. Name a non-fiction book that taught you something new. Well, I don't read much non-fiction, but I did really enjoy this old book that is kind of like an introduction to Wales. The Story of Wales by Rhys Davies. Rhys Davies lived to be an old man and died in the last 10 or 20 years, but this was published in about 1943, I think. And I am interested in Wales, and that's a story that I won't retell here about how that happened. And this was a gorgeously written, very informative and entertaining introduction to the history, culture, and language and people of Wales. Number 4, in order to keep warm, it's good to spend some time with the people we love. Name a fictional family or household or friend group that you'd like to be a part of. Well, this is a little bit too twee of a prompt for me, but if I had to choose, I would choose one of the characters in Ali Smith's novel Winter, which I read earlier this year as a buddy read with Britta Bowler, and that would be, Britta, can you guess which one? Lux. Lux is the Croatian immigrant to the UK that one of the main characters, Art, hires to pretend to be his girlfriend. He's too ashamed to tell his mother that he's broken up with his girlfriend, and they have been so disconnected over the years that he hires Lux to pose as his girlfriend so that he doesn't have to tell his mother when he goes home for Christmas that they're broken up. And Lux brings so much humor, humanity, and wisdom to this novel. I absolutely loved her, and I want to be the only friend in her friend group in any season. Number 5, the colorful leaves are piling up on the ground. Show us a pile of fall-colored spines. So this is always my favorite part, and I have been, I think, quite careful and successful in choosing a bunch of different books than I've done in the previous 2 years. So here is my pile of autumn-colored spines. So let me tell you a little bit about each one. Most of them I haven't read. All Among the Barley by Melissa Harrison is a novel set in this autumn of 1933 in the UK about fading rural traditions, and that's all I need to know about it. Published last year. Next is Rawi Haj's novel, De Niro's Game. Rawi Haj is a Lebanese-Canadian novelist and also the partner of the author of my favorite novel, Madeleine Tien. This was originally published in 2006, and it's about the friendship between two young men during Lebanon's civil war. A Fine Romance by Cynthia Proper-Seton. Cynthia Proper-Seton is an obscure American novelist, and one of her novels I absolutely loved from the 1960s, The Sea Change of Angela Lewis. Another of her novels, The Half-Sisters, was not nearly as successful, I didn't think, but here is one that Ange of Beyond the Pages gave me as a Christmas present last year. And it is an elegantly written comedy of manners. She is a great writer, and some of her novels are stunning. I'm hoping this might be another one of them. This is one that I've read. Audrey Thomas is one of my minor but favorite short story writers. She is an American-Canadian writer still alive in her mid to late 80s on Galliano Island off the coast of British Columbia in Canada. This is a collection of her short stories that I have read the most recently. Goodbye Harold, Good Luck. Really great. It wasn't a gift, it was a book that I requested, that I asked Natalie of My Reading Days to get for me, and we exchanged books, and that is Understory by Inga Simpson. This is all about trees, and I believe it's more of a memoir than it is a novel. A Barbara Comyns novel, Our Spoons Came from Woolworths. Barbara Comyns is a mid-20th century British novelist of some acclaim, and there's a funny story about why I will probably be buddy reading this maybe as early as next month with Heidi of My Reading Life, but I won't embarrass her by telling it one more time here. A 2-volume trilogy. It's kind of counterintuitive, but it is a 2-volume trilogy of novels from Hungary by Miklos Bamfi, the Transylvania trilogy. Volume 1 and Volume 2 and 3. I love the photographs on the covers. And I will be buddy reading these with Ange, but probably not until next year. And the last one is from the Handheld Classic imprint, Una Silberad's Desire, an Edwardian novel, I believe, about Edwardian new women. And Una Silberad is, in fact, a British novelist, originally published in 1908. So that's my stack of fall-colored spines. Number 6, fall is the perfect time for some storytelling by the fireside. Share a book wherein somebody is telling a story, and I have chosen, even though I have just recently talked about this novel on another tag or something, I'm going to talk about it here because it's the perfect choice for this prompt. Edward Louis' History of Violence, translated from the French by Lauren Steen. It is a maybe autofiction. I'm not comfortable enough with what that term means to use it here, but it might be an autofiction. It's certainly an autobiographical novel about a gay man in Paris who gets raped by another man. And it's really powerful, and what makes it even more powerful than just the bare outlines of the story is the structure and the point of view. And a large part of this narrative, I will link my full review where I think I explained it fairly well, but a large part of this novel is narrated in the form of the protagonist, the rape victim, whose name is Edward Louis. He's back in his butt-fuck France redneck hometown, cringing at the closed door of his old bedroom, listening to his sister, with whom he does not have a very good relationship, telling her husband the story of his rape. And that narrative point of view adds a complexity and an emotional power, where embedded within that point of view is so much relationship stuff and dysfunctional stuff. It just makes it mind-blowing to experience for you, the reader. Number 7. The nights are getting darker. Share a dark, creepy read. Well, I don't read horror. Freaking hate ghost stories, so this is always a challenge every year. But a creepy book, or a book that was... No, not creepy. A book that was quite dark, but I fell so deeply into it that I didn't experience it on the level of darkness as much as I did as just a stunning exploration of what it's like to be a child and how dark that can be. But I just thought it was an absolute delight to read. And that is a novel from Spain, Such Small Hands, by Andres Barba, translated from the Spanish by Lisa Dillman. A young girl's parents die in a traffic accident, and she finds herself recovering from her injuries and traumatically transplanted into an orphanage. And it's about the chain of events that befall her and which she perpetrates upon her tormentors in this orphanage. And it's so well done. If you have an interest in child psychology, this is an incredible novel. Okay, we need something a little sweeter, so let's move on to number 8. The days are getting colder. Name a short, heartwarming read that could warm up somebody's cold and rainy day. This was a buddy read with Jacqueline of 6 Minutes for Me, Yoko Ogawa's novel, The Housekeeper and the Professor, translated from the Japanese by Stephen Snyder, and we both loved this so much. So it's about a housekeeper. She works for like a housekeeping temp agency in Japan, and she gets assigned to this retired mathematics prof who has some kind of a memory disorder. He only has 80 minutes of short-term memory, and is a very challenging customer for housekeepers because of that. They have to introduce themselves to him anew each and every morning when they go to his house, and he has his suit is clipped with notes so that he can try to remember, and draws pictures of people. But he has a very clear memory of everything that happened before the car accident, which took away his short-term memory a few decades before. It's a really powerful story of love and friendship. It's just really heartwarming. There's no other word for it. I loved it. I should add as a postscript that I like these kind of stories, but I have a highly attuned sensitivity to sentimental schlock, and there ain't none of that in here, okay? Fall returns every year. Name an old favorite that you'd like to return to soon. And, I've done this 3 times, and I maybe have 3 favorites that I kind of perennially, not annually, but that I return to again and again. So I may have repeated myself, but you don't remember what I said 2 years ago, do you? I'm choosing Mrs. Dalloway, Virginia Woolf's masterpiece. I have read it 3-4 times, and the last time I read it was about 2 or 3 years ago. It's time, people. It's time. The prompt that I absolutely hate in this tag is number 10. Fall is the perfect time for cozy reading nights. The word cozy makes me want to vomit to start. Share your favorite cozy reading accessories. What the fuck is a reading accessory? This is all I got, people. So, anyway, number 11. Spread the autumn appreciation and tag some people. I'm tagging everybody who's ever been tagged on this, who's ever done it. It is one that this is a perennial tag. You can find something in recent reading to match most of these tags. So anybody who's ever done it, anybody who I've ever tagged in previous years, you are tagged. Anybody who wants to do this tag, please do it. And I'm going to tag some new favorite booktubers who I've discovered in the past year. So I'm also shouting them out this way. And it's quite a long list. Greg of Supposedly Fun, Dan of the Weird Book Club, Veronica of V's Reads and Rambles, Kathy of Grim Reads, Soggy Expat Book Nerd, Jason, formerly of Jason Harrigan, now of Byways in Bookland, Bear Reads Books, Book of Shenanigans, Hannah's Books, The Blank Garden, Estelle's Books, Tome Raider, and Windsong Reads. I have discovered a whole bunch of other new channels in the past year, but I don't have time to make a longer list. That list's long enough because I'm tagging absolutely everyone to do it. Can't wait to see what you come up with. Thanks for watching.